After hosting multiple five-star prospects on official visits last weekend and arguably the biggest recruiting weekend of the year, Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs will host more five-star prospects on campus for more official visits this weekend. It is a massive list. That's what this video is all about. I'll be breaking down which commitments are going to be in town, which five-star targets are going to be in town, and so much more. But before I do that, before I break down this massive list, I have to plug Double Dogs. It might be the greatest book in the world right now that is sports related. Father's Day coming up. Get your father a copy of Double Dogs. Get your grandfather a copy of Double Dogs. And hey, maybe get one for yourself, and maybe get a Dawg Post subscription for your father or your grandfather. The Dogs are two-time national champions. This is the best time ever to be a Georgia fan, so make sure you are plugged into Dawg Post, get a subscription, get Double Dogs, and become a smarter Georgia fan. So had to do that quick plug real quick. So again, massive list this weekend. Let's jump right into it. I want to start with just a few commitments that are going to be in town, and one of them is quarterback Ryan Puglisi. 4-star, 6'2", 195 out of Connecticut. Threw for just under 2,000 yards last year, 16 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. He's a dual threat. I mean, this kid can move. He can really run, rush for 14 touchdowns last year, but he's got a live arm. If you've been watching the Dawg Post YouTube channel for the last several months, if you've been on Dawg Post, you've seen more clips of Ryan Puglisi than anywhere else. You know, we've got lots of exclusive highlights and clips of him. So if you've been watching, you know how good this kid is. The ball zips out of his hand. He won the staff over last year, camping with them. Todd Monken loves him. Mike Bobo did everything he could to keep him on board. And of course, if you've been reading my stories, you knew that, you know, before Dylan Raiola even jumped on board, Ryan Puglisi was not going anywhere. He wants to be part of this Georgia program, loves Athens, loves the school, loves the environment, loves the program, Kirby Smart, everything that this program has to offer. He wants to be involved and he wants to be on the team, and he thinks he's going to win that job. He's a very confident kid. He doesn't matter who Dylan Raiola is or whoever Georgia signed at quarterback along with him. He has it in his mind that he's going to come to Athens, win the job, and be the quarterback at the University of Georgia. So he's going to be in town for his official visit. Big deal, and he's going to have his recruiting hat on. Malachi Tolliver, 3-star offensive line commitment. He's going to be in town as well. 6'5", 315, just a 3-star prospect, but I know the Georgia staff has high hopes for him out of Cartersville High School. Jalen Hayward, a hard-hitting safety from Florida, 5'10", 175, 2 interceptions last year, 3 forced fumbles. The guy knows how to strike, but he can also cover. And he runs, man. He's a 10.68 guy in the 100-meter, ranked as the number 3 safety, number 12 prospect in Florida, and the number 68 overall prospect in the country. Big deal. A guy with size who can run and hit, and you know, plays against quality competition down there in Florida. Grew up a Gator fan. The Gators are still going to recruit him. I think Miami is still pushing for him, but right now, everything I'm hearing is that he is firmly committed to the Bulldogs. And he's looking to get there next year. He calls it home now, so he's excited to be part of the Georgia program. And again, he's one of the top defensive backs, one of the top safeties in the country. So he's going to be back in Athens this weekend for his official, and I'm sure the staff is happy about that. So let's talk about the targets, right? Those are some of the commitments, but there are multiple 5-star targets in town. And if you can look at it this way: the top 3 players in the state of Georgia, all 3 of them, the 3 best, all going to be in Athens this weekend. Of course, KJ Bolden is my number 1 player in the country out of Buford. 2-way star, explosive, fast player. I would probably give him a look at wide receiver first, but he's the number 1 safety for a reason. He's long, athletic, can run, can hit. He checks all the boxes in the secondary. I was at a Buford practice a few weeks ago, and Pat Surtain, the former Miami Dolphin, was there. He coaches for Florida State. Absolutely loves KJ Bolden. He wants to recruit him and put him at cornerback where he played, where his son now plays for the Denver Broncos. He has thinks the world of KJ Bolden because he is so athletic. He has the ball skills. He's got a long wingspan, and he's one of the fastest players not only in Georgia but in the country. And he told me that Georgia's recruiting him to play both ways, receiver and DB. They just want him on campus, and right now I think they have a great shot at landing him. He was at Clemson last weekend for an official visit. And he's going to be in Georgia or in Athens this weekend. I like Georgia right now going into that official visit, and it would not surprise me at all if Georgia took a commanding lead in his recruitment. Ohio State is still involved. He's got an official lined up to Ohio State and Alabama for later this month, but he's the number 5 prospect in the country, number 1 player in Georgia, number 1 safety. This is a big deal, and a guy that Georgia's had their eye on for a long time. Was excellent when I saw him play last year in the season opener against Thompson. They were supposed to be the best team in Alabama. They came out and got handled pretty well by the Buford Wolves. KJ Bolden had a long touchdown catch in that game. He's an elite player and a guy that I think Georgia leads for right now going into this official visit. Edric Houston, another Buford Wolf. He's the number 3 player in the state of Georgia, the number 4 defensive lineman in the country, the number 15 player in the country, 6'3", 260. He's part of the 4x400 track team at Buford. He's a wrestler. He's a competitor. He works hard. Will probably play inside at the next level, but he's a good-looking prospect, and he had 2 sacks in that season opener against Thompson too that I saw. I mean, he was wreaking havoc that entire game, was into the backfield. A good pass rusher off the edge, but he can, set the edge, hold the edge against the run as well. He's a sure tackler. Really, really athletic for someone 260 pounds. He's been a guy that Georgia has had high on their list for a long time. He's been to Athens almost as many times. He told me he couldn't count how many times. He had forgot how many times he had been there. So he's familiar with the program, familiar with the school, has a relationship with Trey Scott, and he knows what Georgia has done with defensive linemen over the last several years, getting those guys in the NFL, and that's a big deal to him, obviously. So he's got his official visit to Georgia this weekend. Then he goes to Ohio State. Clemson and Alabama are also in the mix, and he just came off a visit to Southern Cal. So a few schools still in the race, but I like where Georgia sits with him and have for a while. And again, like KJ Bolden, I think Georgia is probably the team to beat going into this official visit. And if the weekend goes well and goes according to plan, I think Georgia could have a pretty decent lead here in a few days. So definitely another 5-star prospect out of Buford to know. That school hasn't been very good to Georgia over the years, but I think this year is going to be different. And that's, what I've been reporting for a long time now. So 2 guys to keep an eye on. Mike Matthews is a different story. He's the number 2 player in Georgia. He's the number 3 wide receiver, the number 10 overall prospect in the country out of Parkview High School. Caught 48 passes, just over 1,000 yards last year, 9 touchdowns. He's a natural, great route runner, great hands. There's a reason he's a 5-star, but Tennessee is the team trending hard with him right now. About a month and a half ago, I thought Georgia had an outside shot. I thought they could be a team that was possibly trending with him, but never thought they were the leader. But this is a guy who wants to catch passes. He wants to be the go-to receiver, catch 70, 80 balls, well over 1,000 yards, a lot of touchdowns. And it's tough to do that at a place like Georgia where they run the ball and they feed it to the tight ends and they want to go to multiple receivers. It's not just one receiver. There's no, every once in a while you have a team where it's AJ Green, like the guy, the number 1 guy that is going to be special and make millions at the next level. Then there's everyone else, and we had George Pickens, or I say they had George Pickens. I just cover the team. I don't play for them. Obviously, maybe could have back in the day, but it just never got that opportunity, and that's okay. But George Pickens was a big, big deal, right? And Georgia has turned out receivers in the NFL. None of them have gone in the first round since AJ Green, but that's what guys like Mike Matthews, and Ryan Wingo want to do. I think Georgia is trending for Ryan Wingo, the 5-star out of Missouri, but as it relates to Mike Matthews, I think he wants to go to Tennessee, catch a lot of passes, be the guy. And unless Georgia has a very, very successful visit and just blows him and his family away, I just don't see the kid at Georgia. Wasn't even sure if they were going to get an official visit for a while, but he's going to take that official visit to Georgia, and I do think they have some ground to make up here for sure. So he's going to be in town. Big, big visit, but I think Tennessee has a commanding lead right now for him. Jordan Ross, kid out of Alabama, one of the top edge defenders in the country, number 33 overall prospect in the country, number 4 edge defender, number 4 player in Alabama, 6'4", 215, long athletic pass rusher, had 16 sacks last year, I believe. I may have got that wrong. That may be someone else. Just had it wrong in my notes, but it wouldn't surprise me if the dude had 16 sacks. He gets after the quarterback, long wingspan, almost a 7-foot wingspan, which helps him get off the edge. And it's tough to block a guy who has that type of wingspan and is that quick off the ball and just sheds blocks as easily as he does. I think Georgia is very much in the mix. had a very successful official visit to Florida last weekend. He'll be at Georgia this weekend, then Texas, then Tennessee. So a few schools still in the race. I heard Oregon was an outsider. They're a dark horse in his recruitment that he likes a lot. Of course, Dan Lanning running the show up there. We know what he can do with defenders as well. But I think Georgia sits in a good spot, and it's never easy to go into Birmingham, of all places, and steal a kid away from Auburn and Alabama. But it looks like Georgia's in a position to do that. I do think he's going to go out of state. And even though Georgia brought in 3 outstanding edge defenders in last year's 23 class, you still got to go and get more. You can't have enough pass rushers, and I think they're sitting in a good spot with him. And who knows, after a very good visit this weekend, Georgia might be the team to beat in his recruitment. So that's just something we have to keep an eye on. So those are the big targets. There are more official visitors and unofficial visitors that are in town. One of the best running backs in the entire country will be in Athens for an unofficial visit. I wrote about that on Dawg Post. You can go check that out and read that right now. But he's out of California, so he's not a guy to know about. So if you want the rest of the list, got to go to Dawg Post. Check out the site. We've got a bunch of great content going on over there. I've got multiple stories that I have to write that y'all can check out and read later this week. But it's going to be another massive recruiting weekend in Athens. It's June. This is recruiting season for the Georgia staff, and they're going to try to put together the #1 class in the country. I think they will. And they definitely will if this weekend goes according to plan with all these major targets and 5 stars on campus. Guys, thanks for watching this video. As always, make sure you check out Double Dog, sign up to the newsletter, and check out a subscription to Dawg Post. It might be the best decision you ever make in your life. I'm not just saying that. I really believe that, but I am just saying that as well. So make sure you check it out. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you over on Dawg Post.